Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is April 25th of 2022. In today's video, I want to talk about this tragedy that occurred last month at Orlando Freefall Tower in Orlando, Florida. And forgive me here while I pull up the blog, make sure I have these pages showing. So in this video, we're going to talk about what I call the organic matrix, and how numerology and gematria very possibly manifest in events that occur naturally, in addition to what we see on the news. Now, normally, I spend time on this channel talking about how we see a lot of suspicious news stories that don't appear to be real, and how they're constructed by a numerical code whose centerpiece is Gematria, the ancient practice of coding numbers into words, names, and phrases. It's a very simple language, just numbering the alphabet 1 through 26, with the associated reduction or Pythagorean method, dropping each double-digit number to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. However, on this channel, we don't just stop at the media. We also examine things that happen in real life, or things that have definitely happened in our own lives, and explain how those two can also manifest by the numbers. As I commonly say, our births, our deaths into this world are going to be the most coded of all of these experiences we have on this planet. And in this incident from March 24th, last month, it appears as if the death of Tyre Sampson, who again was killed after falling out of this Freefall Orlando ride, was very much by the numbers, but it wasn't just by the numbers. There also appears to be a riddle connected to the Bible and astrology deeply embedded into this story. There is video of this incident. It's pretty disturbing to watch, but it's linked in my post for anyone who needs to watch this to prove to yourselves that this really happened. I don't see any way that this was faked or anything like that. So, again, I don't encourage anyone to watch it, but if you feel like you need to, it's there. So we're going to talk about the numerology of young Tyre, who was only 14 years old when he died. In the media, there's been a couple of news stations that have compared this to a similar incident from 1999, when a 12-year-old boy fell out of a drop tower seat and fell to his death. This was back in the year 1999. Now, the boy's name in this story from last month is very biblical. The name Tyre Sampson. Both of these are mentioned in the Bible. And for starters, the first name Tyre. Now, Tyre is a city in Lebanon, and it's mentioned 36 times in the King James Bible, with all of the verses listed here. Meanwhile, his last name, Samson, is a very significant biblical figure. And in the book of Judges, we learn about the story of Samson, who gains his strength from his long locks of hair. However, towards the end of the story, his locks get cut by a woman named Delilah, which then removes his power. And down below in the description, I linked to this page on Star Myths of the World, which goes over the story of Samson and explains how this is an allegory connected to the movement of the sun through the zodiac. And the best examples of this, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the best example is that it's a woman who cuts his hair. And consider how the woman on the zodiac is Virgo, which is the last sign that the sun passes through before the fall equinox, when the days become shorter than the nights. So it's kind of like the sun losing his power, getting the haircut. And then there's constant references to 7 locks of hair. And ancient sun gods like Apollo, commonly portrayed with 7 rays around their head. Furthermore, Samson slays a lion on his way down to meet with Delilah. And of course, the constellation before Virgo is Leo, which is represented by a lion. Leo, by the way, the one sign on the zodiac whose ruler is the sun. So feel free to read into this a little bit more if you'd like, but it's important to establish this astrological element of this story before we continue. Tyre Sampson, although he died in the state of Florida, he was actually visiting the state on vacation, and he was from the city of St. Louis, Missouri. Followers of my channel know that St. Louis has been strong with the sun theme over the past year and a half. At the end of 2020, I made this post, which explained how the two solar eclipses that we experienced in the year 2021 were both arch eclipses occurring at the poles. And this brings us to the Gateway Arch, which is in Tyre's home city of St. Louis. This Gateway Arch was first officially opened on June 10th, which was exactly 54 years to the day before the first of these two arch eclipses. And I also explain in this post how arch eclipses are unique in the sense that they actually move east to west by the end of the eclipse, whereas normally they go west to east. And the Gateway Arch was built to commemorate east to west expansion in the United States. However, that's only the exoteric version. The esoteric explanation would be that this is a sun eclipse riddle. Notice how all of these words sum to 54. Again, this arch opening 54 years to the day before the arch eclipse. Arch eclipse is 54, pole eclipse 54 in both methods, sun 54, arches 54, and sun arches also 54. The theme park that Tyre died at was called Icon Park, and Icon Park first opened in 2015. The centerpiece of this theme park is called The Wheel, which was originally called the Orlando Eye when it first opened. And think about this in relation to the zodiac, the story of Samson, talking about the sun passing through the zodiac wheel. And again, the centerpiece of this park known as the Wheel. Now, this Wheel Park officially opened on May 4th of 2015. And consider how the date May 4th is written here in the United States. That would be 5/4, which again directs us to the gematria of sun, arches, arch eclipse. What's also interesting about the zodiac wheel in relation to this story is that we're told that Tyre weighed approximately 360 pounds. Of course, the wheel on the zodiac is made up of 360 degrees. A common approximation of the diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles. And notice how this occurred in the city of Orlando, Florida, which has Sumerian gematria of 864. The English Sumerian method simply takes the alphabetic order, 1 through 26, and multiplies it by 6, a number connected to time and the existence of man in this 666 realm. So here we see Orlando, Florida, 864, and Orlando Freefall, the name of the ride, also 864. Consider also how there are 86,400 seconds in any given 24-hour day. Tyre Sampson was born on August 17th. August 17th falls during the zodiac sign of Leo, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the only sign that rules the sun. And once again, the media has been reminding us of how this connects to a previous death in 1999. The name of that boy was Joshua Lee Smurfat, and notice how he was also born during the time of Leo, July 26th. On top of that, he also died on August 22nd, which is the last day of Leo on the zodiac, August 22nd or August 23rd in many years. Tyr died shortly after the spring equinox on the date March 25th. And consider how the spring equinox brings celebrations of the return of the sun. And in the constellation of Aries is where the sun is exalted. So there's tons of sun connections here. Now, we talked about this number 864 and how it connects to the number of seconds in a day and the diameter of the sun. Now, this estimation comes to us from NASA. NASA uses this number 864 quite often. And I thought it was very interesting that on his way up the ride, you can clearly see that Tyr is wearing NASA shorts. So on his right leg, it says NASA. And then on his left leg, you actually see the side of the NASA logo. You can see the imprint of the blue circle and the red tongue, so to speak, there. Now, what makes this so interesting is that NASA's full name, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, has an alphabetic ordinal gematria of 441. Now, this boy, Joshua Smurfat, who died in 1999, notice how he was exactly 4,410 days old when he died. And what makes this so interesting is that this boy was from the city of Sunnyvale. So while he died in the city of Santa Clara, where this theme park was, he was actually from Sunnyvale, another reference to the sun. On top of that, he also died on a Sunday, on the last day of Leo. So when you look at his obituary and check his age, we find that Josh Smurfat was 12 years and 27 days old. This connects to the death of Tyr Sampson, who died during lunation number 1227. This is called the Brown lunation number. If you watch recent videos I've done, particularly on the death of Taylor Hawkins, you'll learn more about this. But what's so interesting is that if you take the end date and include it, notice how you also get 12 years and 28 days. Well, the drop tower that Tyr Sampson died on opened on December 28th, which is written 1228. I don't have a web page open to show that right now, but I assure you if you do the looking, you'll find 1228 was the opening date of this free fall Orlando ride. But look at what happens when you measure between these two birthdays, July 26th of 1987 and August 17th of 2007. These two boys were born exactly 20 years and 22 days apart. And now Tyr here has passed away in the year 2022. Furthermore, Smurfat was born in the year 87. Tyr Sampson died during the 87th day of operation of the Freefall Tower. And notice how 87 connects to the name of the theme park. Icon Park equals 87 in ordinal. This is connected to the sun. The sun equals 87. Again, all connecting to this story of Samson representing the sun through the zodiac wheel. Again, links below in the description if you want to find out more. So let's do a little bit more of a deep dive, as I really commonly like to do on this channel. There's another significant cipher based on the alphabetic order. And it's currently called Frank Baconis on the website. You'll see it uses both capital and small letters. Notice how the name Tyr Allen Sampson sums to 415 in this method. And he died in the city of Orlando, Florida, which gives us a 415 in Jewish or Latin gematria. This the only method I teach that's not based directly in the alphabetic order. However, this cipher does use the ancient Latin alphabetic order, which the letters that we still use to this day were originally intended for. Now, what makes this so interesting is that the first verse of the Bible that mentions Samson sums to 415 in reverse reduction, as you'll see here. On top of that, that Bible verse is Judges 13:24. And within that verse number, we get the digits 324. That stands out because Tyre Sampson died on March 24th, written 3/24. On top of that, it was also 324 days after the anniversary of the Icon Park's opening. Remember, that was on May 4th, connected to that sun number. Now, on the calendar, March 24th, when Tyre Sampson died, was the 83rd day of the year. Now, 83 is a big football number. The word football sums to 83 in ordinal. And this kid was a standout football player, pretty large for his size. I would imagine he made a pretty good lineman. But notice how 83 is also connected to this solar eclipse code. And using the S exception, his full name sums to 83, dying on the 83rd day of the year. Notice how his name also has gematria of 690, much like St. Louis summing to 690. His death also fell on a date with numerology of 69. Now, 69 and 33, the two main numbers in the numerology of the date he died, these are also numbers connected to the eclipse code. And once again, followers of my work are very familiar with how events, both in the media and our real lives, seem to be connected to solar eclipses. And this all ties into the fact that we're talking about the sun passing through the zodiac with this story. Now, the word eclipse equals both 69 and 33. And 33 connected to the sun, which sums to 33. So does the word sun in Jewish gematria. On the date he died, Tyre Sampson was 5,333 days old. So we get the triple three to go along with the 33 in the date numerology. And he died at Icon Park, which equals 303. His death fell exactly 3 months and 3 weeks after the last total solar eclipse. And again, that was the second of two arch eclipses. Tyre Sampson from St. Louis, home to the Gateway Arch. However, if you instead measure to the first arch eclipse, which was on June 10th last year, the anniversary of the Gateway Arch opening, notice how you get 287 days. Now look at this. The maximum weight on the ride is, it says just over 286 pounds, which makes me think maybe they used kilograms. But they could also say that this limit was 287 pounds, right? Just over 286 pounds. Well, what was it? Well, if you measure from that eclipse to this man's death, it was 287 days. And in the other method that uses capital letters, so you'll see here we simply add 26 for every capital letter, the name Tyre Allen Sampson gives us this 287. Looking back at this date, March 24th, when he died, it's also the date leaving 282 days in the year. This connects to St. Louis, Missouri with capital letters. But his full name also sums to the 282nd prime number with trigonal numbers. And this trigonal cipher also built on the alphabetic order using associated triangular numbers. Another curious detail about Tyre Sampson is that he was 6 foot 5 inches tall, according to this article. And this, of course, represents the number 65. And look at his name in the standard Pythagorean method. Tyre Allen Sampson sums to 65. And he died on a free fall ride. Free fall equals 65. This was in the state of Florida, 65. Notice how Icon Park also has 650 gematria in that same trigonal cipher. When you measure from his last birthday to the date he died, you also get the 65th prime number, 313. 31 weeks, 3 days. Finally, this birth date, August 17th, Now, in many parts of the world, this date is written 17/8, the 17th of August. And notice how Joshua Smurfat died in Santa Clara, California, which remarkably sums to 178 in the standard alphabetic order. So there's a few more things to unlock that I didn't mention in this post, but I just wanted to focus on the symbolic connections here because, again, guys, it's not just numbers running this reality. It's symbols, the energy put behind them. They seem to have some sort of power. And, how can this all be a coincidence? And, again, I'm not the one making these connections. It's the media who's been running these stories. Where the woman of this young boy who died in 1999 has been in the news talking about how, this should call for renewed efforts for safety on these theme park rides. All right, well, that's all I really have for this video. Don't want to drag it on too long, but just wanted to point out what I thought was pretty interesting about this story. So thanks to everybody who jumped in. Condolences to Tyre's family, and rest in peace, little guy. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.